Hello, hello from beautiful sunny Anaheim, California. Want to apologize for not being live yesterday. I just couldn't make it happen inside the park. The internet signal there is very spotty, and of course it's very crowded and noisy everywhere you go, so wouldn't have been able to pull it off. But here I am, and what an interesting switch to today, bringing us into the true dichotomy of the world we live in. So most of you are aware of what happened in Las Vegas yesterday, and I want to touch on it because it is one of these parts of life. You know, we're in this violent landscape, we're in a world of chaos and mayhem and uncertainty, and we don't really become conscious of it until an event like this occurs. You know, we think, oh, it's somewhere else in the world, it's not affecting my life, and shoot, here I am, I'm in the Magic Kingdom having this incredible week of magic and memories made with my kids, and yet here there's the events happening. And it's not just yesterday. You know, I have clients in Paris who were in the recent bombings and terrorist things there, that were actually in the field of play, in the area where they were scared for their life. I have friends and clients in Barcelona going through the same thing this last week with their governments in upheaval and police brutality trying to keep them from voting. So it's all around us, and we tend not to let ourselves be affected by it or pulled down by it energetically, because we think, oh well, you know, it's not directly affecting me, and yet energetically it is affecting all of us. And you know, why is it so rampant? Why is it such a big part of the world now? And it's because we are moving into this higher vibration. We are moving into the light, and I feel like some of these things happen to sort of play out negative energy and karma and clear stuff, or bring to the surface. But I think it's more relevant or prevalent to bring us into our highest state of conscious, compassionate being. And when we can start coming together and joining prayers, joining light forces, joining healing energies, sending energy as healers to all these places to start making cracks in the foundation of darker governments, of negative energies, of people that are out, whether they have psychological problems or family problems, or just a desire to do hateful things in the world. Light needs to be brought to them, and light needs to crack the foundations. So I really feel like every time there's an event like this, it's a call to action for all of us to become more conscious and be sending that healing energy out into the world all the time, and really stepping into our truth and our power. And so that's the part of the magic that I want to discuss today. Hi Robert, good to see you. You know, here we are, I'm in Disneyland, and this is like the place of magic, right? But I have that dichotomy. I have an experience with, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people come here. I'm sure there's over 100,000 in a day, the way the parks have been so crowded. And how do they do it? There's not a chaotic event that happens there. There are crowds, and people are tired, they're hungry, they're worn out, because I see in the microcosm of how we run a perfect example of just sitting back and watching people in Disneyland. They wear themselves out, they go ragged, and you know, then they just have to sit and take a break. And we do that in our regular lives. How often do we just keep going on autopilot, running until we break down and need a break? And there's all these different philosophies going through the park. You can just see in the way they're doing it. Some people are in real time management skills, and they're getting their fast passes, and they're heading over here and heading over there to get the most out of their park experience, or most out of their money for their ticket. Where others are just in this real flowing, do what feels right in the moment. Let's stop and take a break. Let's have a ice cream or a snack or a cold drink. Let's wander over there and see what's going on for the rides. We'll just wait happily. But the whole thing is this experience with masses of people, and yet there's no fights that break out, and there are tight, cramped quarters in some of the shows. Saw this amazing show, that's what the post photo was from, with the dragon and Mickey Mouse, called Fantasmic, on Sunday night. And talk about a spectacle, but talk about a crowd. When you're moving out and getting away from it at the end, you're in a sea of people. So why aren't people triggered there to have some unconscious thing set them off and go crazy or hurt people or whatever, because they're all here to experience the magic. They're all co-creating something, and they want to have wonderful memories, so they don't follow the urge to allow themselves to get triggered. They don't jump on it because they're in a different space of what they want to create. So it's coming back to belief. What do we want to create in and around our lives? And you know, as many problems as I might have with Walt Disney, with some of the things that he's put out in our psyche, at least for my generation and later. Oh, this is interesting now. There is a fire truck and an ambulance going by right now. So sending love and light to whoever's needing care right there. Just consciously sending that out, that the highest good comes of whatever situation is happening there. So back to Disney, as many, hey Jen, nice to see you. As many things as he put out in the psyche that I feel like did damage. I always wanted to write a book called The Cinderella Syndrome, because I think many of us grew up with unrealistic expectations of what romance and relationship and the happily ever after can or should be or would look like in our lives. And I don't think it's been a good contribution, but in other ways Walt Disney was such an incredible example of dreaming big, following your dreams, creating beliefs. So why does magic work? Why is Disneyland such an incredible place to visit? And it's because of the magic. Walt Disney had an incredible vision aspect to himself, to be able to see very clearly with specific detail what he wanted to create. So in that, when we want to vision and dream big and do something in our lives, we have to have the vision and we have to be very specific with it. Your angels and guides and God want to know the very fine details. In the park here, and I know this has been going since its inception, there's never a light bulb out. There is not a plant that's out of place. And it's the attention to detail. It's every tiny little piece that makes it feel real, that makes it so much so that you can envision the environment that he saw and take yourself to that place. So I can go and I can defeat the evil Captain Zurg, or I can fly with Peter Pan through the sky. I love that ride because you get this sensation of flying through the stars. I can go underwater and experience a submarine ride. I can climb the Matterhorn. There's all these amazing things you can do here because your mind allows you to go there. And your mind is allowed to go there because of the tiny minute details of every single wall being painted, every fence being covered with you know, all the construction pieces. They're painted, they're detailed, they are covered so they are part of the landscape of what they are creating. Another amazing piece about Walt Disney, and I love hearing his life story, and I've watched different documentaries over the years about him. He was wise enough in his dream and humble enough to hire people that knew more than he did. He wasn't afraid of smart people. He knew his limitations. He knew what he needed help with. And he was able to pull those people, like bring them to him with his visionary, like what he wanted to create. And he saw in them what he needed, and he hired them because they were smarter than him. They maybe had better skills than him in certain areas. And so that's how he got his expertise. He was willing to step out and be maybe the low man on the totem pole in the boardroom as far as smarts, or as far as vision, or as far as the ability to actually create something. Because I think he did have the visions, but he needed help to pull in all those details. And so there he was humble, and he was open to collaboration. And it's that collaboration piece and that humility and the incredible specific details that I think creates the magic in this place. That, I mean, now it's worldwide, right? There's one in Paris, there's a huge one in Orlando, and everybody loves it. Everybody we come back every year because it creates this amazing memory for us as children. And I watch Disney. I mean, Disney is something I grew up with, so my kids don't know that you can't watch something without pausing it and running and doing what you need or coming back to it. Sunday night was set aside. We had the Walt Disney 7 o'clock every Sunday night, whatever show was going to be on, and we didn't miss it. And we made sure we peed before we started, and we were done eating, and we would get our ice cream afterwards so that we didn't miss a beat, because that was the world then. So now it's instantaneous, and I think the generations now are losing something in that patience, in the willingness to really commit to being present in what you're in the moment. It's real different because they're very present, but it's very short time. Like, oh, you get distracted and pulled away very quickly. And I think that's going to be something that I am talking about on another time. But just pulling it together, Magik and Mayhem. We've got these two dichotomies. We've got this incredible, like, magical experiences in the world that I really want to hone in on about belief. Belief in what you want to create. You have to be able to see it, and you have to be able to see it in very specific detail, and be willing and humble to bring in the right help that maybe knows more pieces than you do. Get the assistance you need to get it off the ground. And as far as the mayhem, there's always going to be these two sides of the coin in our world. And I think the key there is to always stay in the magic in your heart. And when there's stuff happening around the world, instead of putting it back like, oh, you know, that's over in Spain, that doesn't apply to me. That's a war over in Asia that, you know, it's not affecting me. Well, it is energetically. And so anytime we see that stuff, just consciously sending out from our heart to raise that situation to the next higher vibration that it can be, because some of the things have to happen to shake up the vibration, sort of like Hurricane Katrina. I always felt really in my heart, my guides were clear with me that that was about clearing out some of the old black magic energy, the old voodoo energy from centuries past that was held in New Orleans. And look at how that community has turned around and recreated itself and really raised its vibration. I mean, it's a very different place to visit now. And yes, it still has Bourbon Street, it still has lots of wild side living and beautiful music and amazing people, but it's a very different vibration than it used to be. So these events are happening for a reason. They are taking us as a whole towards the next level of our growth, but I do think we need to become more conscious about connecting into that and really sending our love and light to those situations. So I hope this was a bit uplifting, a bit clarifying about the dichotomies in the world and about how you can tell. So sorry about that. Looks like we lost our signal just briefly. So as I'm closing up, just really looking at your piece in the bigger puzzle. What are your dreams and what is your soul here to do? What are you here to create and bring your highest vibration in with? And how can you make it happen? Get the particulars, see it very clearly, get your vision board out, see the fine details, and get help, bring in, and you can ask your angels and guides to help bring the people to you that need to make part of a collaboration to make it happen. And wishing that for you, hoping you have an amazing week. I will be back on next Monday, and again, I apologize for being a day late. If you need help visioning that, if you need help clearing or just getting the heaviness out of your heart from the things that are happening in the world, I love to work one-on-one with people. I think I do have some spaces in my week coming up where we can get you in on a one-on-one situation or session. And if you want to post message, private message me, or send me an email through my website, invokehealing.com. I would love to connect with you and see where you're at and see where I can assist, because that's what my dream and vision is here on the planet, is to get everybody into their vision and into their own healing and raising their own vibration, moving out of that stuck place that you're in. So wishing you an amazing Tuesday, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks, Robert and Jen. Good to see you.